Hey boys and girls, guess what I learned when I was in school? Christopher Columbus discovered America. And guess what I learned when I left school? No, he didn't. And we're going to talk about it when we get back. I'm CLM II for Style with Power, the channel that helps empower men through style. Okay. Hey, happy Monday. And you know, today is a holiday as America has declared this day Christopher Columbus Day. Why? Well, we're going to get into that. But before we do that, if you're into videos that talks about style, that talks about fashion, that talks about empowerment, and that talks about mindset, well, this is the channel for you. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Hit the little notification bell so you'll know every time we upload a video. And if you're watching this on Facebook, hit the like button. You'll really help us out. Well, they call this day Christopher Columbus Day. But as we have learned throughout history, Christopher Columbus never discovered America. As a matter of fact, there's been some myths about Christopher Columbus. And before I get into the article that I read, I'm going to let you see a little video, a little short video about Christopher Columbus. It was recorded on the History Channel. Let's take a look.
In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's how the story was told to generations of Americans. Without a doubt, Columbus landed in the Bahamas in 1492 and made 3 more trips to the New World, including a visit to Cuba. His voyages paved the way for European exploration and colonization, changing the course of world history. But did Columbus really discover America? The answer is most likely no. It is believed that millions of people lived in the Americas before Columbus arrived. Ancestors of modern Native Americans made their way from Asia to North America over a land bridge formed during the last ice age more than 12,000 years ago. In fact, Columbus probably wasn't even the first European to land in the Americas. That honor likely goes to the Norse explorer Leif Erikson, whose famous father Eric the Red founded Greenland. Erikson and his Viking crew made the North Atlantic crossing to Newfoundland in 1000 AD, 492 years before Columbus made his trip. And he may not have been the only explorer to reach the shores of America before Columbus. Some historians argue that the Chinese admiral Zheng He sailed around the world some 70 years before Columbus, discovering America on the way. A recently discovered map shows the complete outlines of both North and South America, supporting this theory of early Chinese exploration. Other cultures claim to have explored America even earlier. When ancient Hebrews fled Israel after the Babylonian invasion in 600 BC, some believe a group of them got all the way to America. And an ancient stone blade found near a mastodon tusk near the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay suggests a discovery story going all the way back to 22,000 BC. That's when some archaeologists believe the mysterious Stone Age people, known as the Solutreans, sailed from Europe to North America. As time and research continue to yield new evidence, we will surely learn more about the complicated truth behind the discovery of America. But no matter what, one thing seems safe to say. It wasn't Christopher Columbus.
Well, wasn't that interesting? All the facts and figures, cut down in a 2-minute video. As we see from there, Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. And I also have an article that, the link of this article, of course, will be in the description. And it talks about 3 myths about Christopher Columbus. Let's go through it. So, the first myth, didn't he prove that the earth is round? No. According to the history, Christopher Columbus, when he sailed in 1492, actually had a geography book. And in this geography book, it was written by the Roman Empire 1,300 years before Christopher Columbus sailed, and it said that the earth was a sphere. And a sphere really means that it was round. So he knew the earth was round. That's the first myth that wasn't true. The second one was that he supposedly took his trip in these 3 famous boats. Remember the names? The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. Well, according to history, the Nina actually wasn't called the Nina. It was called the Glacian. That was a real name. Nina was a nickname. And of course, the Pinta wasn't really called the Pinta, it was called the Santa Clara. So the Pinta was a nickname, and they also discovered that the third one also was a nickname. So you know what? All of that was false that we were learning in those days. So that was the second myth. And then the biggest myth of all, did he discover America? So many people know, and if you don't know, he never even reached North America, which is America that we live in. He never ever reached it. He discovered some islands out in the Caribbean, and he really did a lot of atrocious things to those people. He was not a good man. He really didn't do any of these great things. So how did he get his own day? Well, unfortunately, our president, Delano Roosevelt, back in the 1930s, declared October Christopher Columbus Day. And really, they were trying to celebrate Italians. So why don't they just name it Italian American Day? I mean, that's okay with me. I love Italians. I have a whole bunch of Italian friends, have been dealing with Italians all my life. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the music. Love the movies. So why don't they just call it Italian American Day? That's fine with me. I have no problem with that. And according to history, Italy wasn't even around when Christopher Columbus was around. There was no Italy. There was no Italy on the map. But he just happened to, come from a region that later in history they changed the name to Italy, and that's why the Italians have embraced Christopher Columbus. But, we've all been told lies, lies, lies. So there was no Christopher Columbus discovered America. He was not a good man. He didn't do all these great things that people said he did. So let's cut out the myths. Let's stop with the nonsense. So what some individuals around the country have done, and some states have done, they've changed the name to Indigenous People Day or Native American Day. And I'm all for that. So from now on, this day will be Indigenous People Day or Native American Day, and I hope you feel the same. And last but not least, guess what? I know this is going to shock a lot of people. I'm going to show you some video clips of who actually were the first people to come here to America. And would you believe it? Yes, the Africans, the black man. Now, why is that? Well, through history, we have found out that the first known human being on the planet Earth was a black man, was an African. And we all know the history of Africa has a great and rich history. Africa, the continent, has all of these great minerals and all these resources, and they've been plundered and plunged for years from other cultures and other countries who have found the richness of Africa. They've taken us as people and enslaved us. They've gone into Africa and they've taken out all of the diamonds and the minerals and the resources. All that stuff is in Africa. And come to find out that Africans were the first people on earth. Africans were the first people to discover a lot of these countries and these nations around the world. So we'll watch a little bit of these clips and we'll be right back.
All right, Annetta, lock the doors, because what I'm about to say is going to upset some people right next here. Okay. Christopher Columbus did not discover America. So anyway, there were actually many other mariners before Columbus that discovered America as well. Decades earlier, even eons earlier, there were so many people that were coming across these islands and this continent. But it's only been in the last century that evidence has surfaced and continually grown to indicate that many of these pre-Columbian explorers might have come from Africa. That between 1920 and 1922, he published an extensive 3-volume piece called Africa and the Discovery of America. Now, unfortunately, this is the 1920s, so as yet, no serious archaeological evidence had been done or work had been done to support his botanical theories. That Columbus himself was aware that African mariners had preceded him. In his diary of his second voyage, Columbus tells of how the natives of Hispaniola actually had given him gold-tipped metal spearheads that they said were brought by black-skinned people who had come in large boats from the south and southeast. So upon returning to Spain, is that he actually took the spearheads and he sent them away, and they had them assayed, and it turned out to be that these spearheads were covered in this metal this alloy that the inhabitants called guanin, and the metallurgists actually found out that this was an alloy of 32 parts. It was like 18 of gold, 6 of silver, 8 of copper, which, dun dun dun, matched the metal used in spearheads made in Western Africa. Now, Columbus continued going around whimsically renaming every island he could find, but Leo Wiener, being the curious person and the linguist that he was, and the etymologist, he couldn't help noticing that the origin of these many place names and botanical names in Mesoamerica actually sounded distinctly like other languages in Africa, particularly Bantu and even Arabic, including Constantine Ravanus reported seeing blacks upon reaching the New World. In fact, in 1513, Spanish explorer Vasco Núñez de Balboa, when Balboa was there, he said he met members of a tribe of Ethiopians in Panama. And according to Balboa's log, these men came from a totally black village that was 2 days' journey away. And he figured that these blacks had come from Ethiopia at a much earlier date. So whether or not you give any credence to this admittedly controversial Afrocentric theory, it's obvious that Columbus was not the first to discover America, but the last. So the story of Columbus remains the most widely accepted version of American discovery, most likely because it was the most recent, the most well-armed, the most documented, and the most similar in appearance to the authors of American textbooks. Out here is that in the years after Columbus discovered America, in 400 years, 20 million Africans were stripped from the coast of Africa, half of them dying in transit for slavery, who knows how many fleeing inland. And at the same time, within 5 years of Columbus's arrival in the New World, 90% of the indigenous population had died from disease or murder, 90%. So the fact is, that leaves few people to have a written or memory or an oral history of the seafaring of their African discoverers. As a subject for research, the possibility of African discovery of America has never been a tempting one for American historians. We choose our own history, or more accurately, we select those vistas of history that more or less kind of explain to have the promise of the greatest satisfaction for ourselves. And we have had little appetite to explore the possibility that our founding father was a black man. So nevertheless, there is considerable evidence to suggest that African mariners also participated in this great adventure, no less than Vikings, the Portuguese, Spaniards, Celts, Chinese, Polynesians, and Arabs, and others. So now I would like to raise a toast to all the discoverers of America before Columbus, wherever you may came from. May more of us discover you.
Well, there you have it. Little short history lesson for this week's show. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you like what you're seeing. And I will see you next week.